Hello dear students, today we are going to discuss the poem entitled The Word is Too Much With Us by William Wordsworth, written in 1806 and composed in 1806 and published in 1807. As a matter of fact, when we come to study literature, in literature basically there are two divisions, prose and poetry. And to distinguish prose and poetry, the basic measure to measure these both on the purpose of the distinction is metrical ground. And when we come to study any poetry in literature, that means the study aspects are two. Very first is structural and the second is thematical. When we come to this poem structurally, this poem is a sonnet, and a sonnet is a short poem of 14 lines. Sonnet is a short poem of 14 lines, and in literature, when we come to basically to the study of sonnet, basically there are two types of sonnets, Petrarchan model sonnet and Shakespeare model sonnet. But when we come to the question, how many sonnets are there? Then the answer is there are 3 sonnets, and the third one is to be regarded as pseudo sonnet. That is also alternatively can be regarded irregular, pseudo and modern sonnet. We will discuss in the study or the classroom these sonnets structurally when we will come to the sonnet topic. But today let us start to come to the certain today's poem by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth, the poet, not only the poet when we come to William Wordsworth, but a revolutionary. A revolutionary in literature. With the publication of lyrical ballads, we know as a student of literature how he revolutionized the world, how London was revolutionized by the revolution in industrialization, and the mechanism entirely engrasped the society. The impact of the society engrasping in industrialization and economical mechanism is reflected in the disillusionment of the poet. This poem runs in subtle irony. Subtle irony, and a poet is painful with the tendency of the society. Society is fallen in the mechanism, only the earning and spending, means the tendency of the money making. And this poem's setting is, we've already in the introductory class of this poem discussed how the poem has its own setting. Certain cousin of poet who fell ill, and when he visited for the purpose of harmony, and the poet's cousin was how very anxious about his business, and when poet advised that he should be very careful about the health, not about the business, but he couldn't be away from the business tendencies and suddenly died, then certain literary critics and the certain literary views come about this poem, that this poem is the product of the visit of his certain cousin when he was hospitalized. Here Poetry runs in the symbolic word application. A literary student should know one thing: dictionary word meaning can't be helpful to go to the depth of the poem. We have to follow the symbolical meaning, the literary meaning. Literary term and literary figures are also very, very important to follow the poem's depth. Here, as a worshipper of nature, poet, by the Londoners' tendency, by the contemporary society's tendency, is pained, much disillusioned or dissatisfied to the contemporary society for the making tendency of the money. How they have fallen in the cobweb of the money. Industrialization on one hand can be regarded as a development, but when we come to spiritual tendencies and a spiritual glory, how for the sake of money earning, people lost this glory, the lifeline. The spiritual glory is the lifeline, and poet here reveals his patho, his pain, his dissatisfaction with the association of the word for the tendency of money making. Several literary devices have been applied. Several literary references have been mentioned. And wow, what literary imagination for the purpose of natural glory have been here mentioned. Let us come to the poem for the purpose of the academic purpose or competitive purpose. I think this class will be very helpful. And here when we come to structural information about this poem, as a Petrarchan modeled sonnet, basically characteristic and property of Petrarchan modeled sonnet, that basically Petrarchan modeled sonnet is divided into two sections or two parts. Structurally two parts. The opening introductory part is called octave. Octave, the stanza of 8 lines. And the later remaining part of 6 lines is regarded as sestet. Petrarchan modeled sonnet runs in a certain rhyme scheme, but the rhyme scheme of sestet is not disciplinedly and regularly followed. As a matter of fact, the structure mentioned and engineered by its patron Petrarchan, that's not mentioned throughout in sestet. And here, when we will discuss this poem as a sonnet, we will come to all the properties, initial properties, but the basic property of the poem, that certain stanza means the sonnet's lines run in iambic pentameter. 10 syllabic lines, iambic pentameter. And when we come to iambic pentameter, what does mean iambic pentameter? 10 syllabic line. 10 syllabic line, and such line is mentioned and maintained unstressed and stressed syllabic process. Certain or such line is regarded iambic pentametrical line. When we come to here several mythological words have been applied. Several mythological words have been applied here, and several symbolical words have been applied here. Several literary figures have been applied here. Basically, this poem runs in the knitting of personification, simile, personification, simile. I think you have clarification about the simile. You have also very clear-cut idea about the personification, simile, personification, mythological words, biblical references, as well as the metaphor. Such literary figures have been applied here, and in the lines, as a matter of fact, a poet, as a worshipper of the poem, he philosophized in his certain poems the constitution of the nature glory, as in the prelude and other Lucy poems, other certain poems based on nature. Such glory is overflowing in this poem, in this short lyrical sonnet. And when we come to the very first line, poet says, the word is to match with us late and soon. Here, in opening line, that is the octaves line, poet starts to reveal, to express his pain, his painful heart for the tendency of the contemporary people, contemporary society, for the sake of money. And here he says, late and soon, late and soon, late and soon. It could be in several meanings. Late and soon could be in several meanings. Very opening here, when poet says late and soon, means from very early and late. From very early morning to late night, the one meaning, okay? Other one, late means the past, and soon means even present and be in future also. Poet says, from early morning to late night, the contemporary people are in the association of the materialistic things. Materialistic things means the money, how they have fallen in the rat race. They all are running after money. They are gamblers. They are being very perfect in the game of the money making, money earning, but they are not ready. They never start to think about the spirit, the soul glory, how they are very poor, how they have lost the glory of the soul, and that is in the life of nature. He philosophizes, he advocates in his certain poems that nature is the treasure or the head fountain of the soul glory. Nature is the treasure, the head fountain of the soul glory, and nature is the teacher. Nature is the mother teacher. How nature teaches, how nature heals, how nature is our soul glory. So very painfully in the first line poet speaks, and getting and spending, in which work the contemporary people are busy. They are busy in getting means earning, and spending means investing. Spending, investing, they are mechanical, they are the practitioner of mechanicism of the money. They have the sources of the money earning. Even they have to spend, they are very fond of the materialistic articles, materialistic objects. Here, we lay ways are past. Here when poet says we means the worldly people. Waste are past. Past means the power, the spiritualism. Okay? We as a human being, two aspects of the human being. One is spirit and other one the body. Body means the physical world, and spiritual, that means the energy, the power, the spiritual power. We are wasting. We are wasting the energy. That energy is to be used for the sake of the soul, for the sake of the spirit. And little we see in nature, that is earth. Nature, that is earth. We never pay attention. We never pay attention, we never try to pay attention to the glory of nature. Wow! We are passionate, much passionate. Our hearts beats for money. We always think, here we means the contemporary people, how the 18th century revolutionized with the locomotive and the machines and industrialization. The whole society is fallen in the tendency of the earning and earning. Here the poet is speaking very painfully, and we have given our hearts away. Here when poet says we have given our hearts away, given away is a phrase. That means we are out of our own heart consciousness. Never think about the heart consciousness and how so did boon. You know, in language, the punctuation also has its most important role. Punctuation also speaks. Punctuation also has its meaning. And here poet mentions exclamation. When poet says, so did boon. Boon means the benefits. Boon means the comforts. But what type comforts? The sordid comforts. When poet says sordid comforts, the dictionary meaning only here comes before us. That sordid means the materialistic things those are to be consumed very soon. Okay? But when we come philosophically in the view of poet, here when poet says sordid boon means the boon, sordid boons means enmity, the proud and the greed, etc. also be regarded in the viewpoint of the poet. And poet says, proceeds as a viewpoint, this sea. Here, sea is the object of nature. Sea is the object of nature. Now poet mentions that bears her bosom to the moon. You know, here pronoun her. Here poet mentions the pronoun her. And her is mentioned for the sea. That means the sea has been personified. Sea has been personified. Sea has been presented as a female. Okay, that means poet says here, have a look at the sea. Have a look for a while at the objects of the nature, how they are very opening. For example, poet illustrates here the object of the nature, the sea, how opens, how it has open bosom. As a female, as a mother, opens her breast for the child. Child suckles her bosom. As a matter of fact, poet here says that the sea has its open heart, that is the personification in the literary view. And poet also says that this sea that bear a bosom to the moon. And to whom? To whom? To whom the sea as a female has open breast? To whom? Answer me please. To whom? To whom? To whom the sea has open breast, has open bosom? To whom please? To the moon. To the moon is also the other object of the nature. Okay, probably poet means the scene and sight, the scenery of the nature. Wow, what a scene and sight and scenery of the nature. For a while, when we have glimpse, for a while, when we be separated from the mechanism of the world, mechanism of the materialistic world, mechanism of the association of this contemporary era, how beautiful nature is. But a certain psychologist and the philosopher, Pascal, keep in your mind, I mentioned the certain name, the philosopher and the psychologist Pascal. Would you keep in your mind? Would you keep in your sweet memory? What name I mentioned? Pascal. Pascal says it's not in the habit of a human. It's not in the habit of human to be alone, to be quite alone. Whenever man has enough time, the spare time, he runs in the company of society. You know, in first year, the certain poem, the thoughts in a garden, okay? Wow, what a poet mentions the imagination of the nature, that the garden means the nature is the source of the peace, is the source of glory of the heart. Okay, so poet here mentions the wind that will be howling at the alarm. You know, other object also the nature poet mentions here. Keep in your mind the wind. You know, here poet also mentions the word howling. Okay, howling is the habit of a human being. It's not a habit of wind. It's not a habit of wind. It's a habit of a human being. And you know, wind also has been personified. Wind also has personified. So poet mentions, you know, during the day, how wind blows on its swim throughout the day. But what happens as soon as the sun goes to set down? What happens? Okay, what changes in the scenery? What changes in the atmosphere? And who does? For a while started to ponder, who does? Who is behind these all changes in the atmosphere? And there is God, the mercy of the God. Nature is also the reflection of the God. A certain point, and I would like to, it's only Wordsworth who says nature reflects in God and God reflects in nature. You would mention, incestate such paraphoric meanings and the symbolic meaning. It says also, and are upgathered like sleeping flash. Here also mentions exclamation, okay, the wind that blows throughout the day. Hello, the wind that blows throughout the day, but in the evening, okay, the sun setting, what happens? Okay, automatic change comes. Okay, the wind becomes very silent as a tired girl, okay, having the activities of the day throughout the day. She ultimately becomes very calm. Here, poet applies a simile, like, okay, and here the word sleep, that means, sleeping flowers, that means flowers don't never sleep. It's the quality of the human being. Okay, so for the purpose of the personification, okay, though here poet mentions simile, and the purpose of the simile, application of simile in literature, in poetry, to clear the idea, and here poet clears with the help of the simile how wind that howls throughout the day. And don't you think that is the miracle? Don't you think that is the miracle? That's the miracle. Okay, but it's a tragedy of the word. It was the tragedy of poets' contemporary era that they were not such a tendency. They never thought about such a glory. And not only the contemporary era, but the view and the philosophy of Wordsworth is applicable even today. Not only in Londoners, not only in London, not only his own contemporary age or his own contemporary people, but all over the world, even today, if we try to apply this philosophy, that's quite clear. Even today, the modern peoples are in this habit. Probably poet is also speaking about the modern peoples, how they have gone so far, how they have gone so far from their own peace, their own consciousness. And poet says also, and from this for everything we are out of tune. Here, for this, what for? For this, what for? What for? The tendency of materialistic objects, the tendency for the physical comforts. And what's the result? What's the result of such a tendency? The result is that we, means the worldly people, are out of tune. Out of tune? Out of our own consciousness. Out of tune, that means separated from the call of the soul. Separated from the call of soul, and it moves us not a great good. And poet speaking very ironically, a subtle irony runs, and poet says, oh God, such glory doesn't touch the hearts, such glory scattered in nature doesn't attract, doesn't invite the hearts of the contemporary people. What a glory in nature! The glory in nature, the glory of immortality, the glory to be closer to the God, the glory to celebrate the soul. But poet here is very pained for the tendency of the contemporary people, and he says, I would rather be a pagan. Here, certain literary critics and certain literary students, even the literary fellows who have great interest in literature, start to regard for this view William Wordsworth the escapist. Listen to me, the word is escapist, but Wordsworth is not to be regarded escapist. Why don't we try to understand and try to think? When he says, I would rather be a pagan, I would rather be a pagan, having such a tendency, having the company of such people, poet is much pained that even for a moment he doesn't want to be in the company of such people. And so he says, in spite of this company, he would be a pagan. He would prefer to be a pagan. And let us clear the meaning pagan. Okay. First, we have to clear the meaning pagan. Okay. In the mythologies, pagan, in Greek mythologies, pagan, a creed. Pagan, a creed means the primitive eras people, the worshipper of nature. They never cared for the worshipping of the god and goddesses, certain god and goddesses, but they were worshipper of nature. When poet says, I would rather be a pagan, that means he would be lover. He would be lover. He is lover of nature. So you would prefer, you would like to go in the lap of nature. And he says, suckled in the creed, outworn. Here outworn is a word that stamps poet's pen, poet's dissatisfaction with his contemporary era. The creed means pagan like. And who is pagan? Pagan is lover of nature. And poet says, such a creed is worn out, means out of practice. Such people are not, no more. No more means now no one loves nature. While poet wants to be a pagan, people in according Greek mythologies, those loved nature, he would like to be the lover of nature. So he says, he declares, I would like to be a pagan. Have you clear?
Yes, sir.
Pagan means, what does mean pagan? Lover of nature. And poet prefers to be a pagan. And why he prefers to be a pagan? Why he prefers to be a pagan? He prefers to be a pagan. One thing very clear, that is very obvious. He is dissatisfied with the contemporary society for their mechanical and money-minded tendency. Okay? So, he wants to seek the soul glory. And how pagan used to celebrate such glory. So he declares that he would like to be a pagan. And so might, okay, here listen to me. Poet has declared, poet has expressed his own soul, what he wants. Okay. First thing is clear, he wants to be separated from such people. Okay. Then why? Being separated, and why he wants to be separated? So poet here clears, being separated from the contemporary people, Being a pagan, he would able, so might I. So might I, so that he would be able. Okay, standing on this pleasurely. One thing is clear here, listen to me attentively. I think you follow what poet says, okay? He says, he declares being a pagan, he would able to have the glimpses of the pleasure play. And pleasure play means the grassland. The grassland, okay, pleasure play and have glimpses that would make me less forlorn. Okay, when poet would be in the company of nature, then automatically, how he would be alone? He has company. He is in the lap of nature. Then no chance to be alone. So here poet says that being a pagan, having the glimpses of nature, having the glory of nature, sight of nature, pleasure plea, then he would not be less forlorn. Okay, and have glimpses that would make me less forlorn. Have sight of Proteus rising from the sea. Very first advantage, being separated from the society. He says that you would able to have the sight, means the glimpses of Proteus. Keep one word in your mind, Proteus. Proteus is a mythological word in the Greek mythologies. And other or, you know, or means either this or that. Either this or that. That means first he would able to have the sights of Proteus, and here old Triton blow his wreathed horn. Golden advantages. Okay. Golden advantages, being closer of the sea, being in the life of nature, you would able to have the glimpses of the nature, glory of the nature. And under Greek mythologies, he mentions two Greek words, means two Greek mythological words. Here these are the goddess of sea. Okay, Proteus and Triton. How Triton was able to control the activities of the sea. You know, for a while, when we come to this situation, when poet applies, this image when poet applies, then for a while when we start to ponder, who controls the activities of the sea? Okay. Who paints the bird, who colors the nature, okay, who controls wind, okay, then automatically we have to go to the omnipotent power. An omnipotent power that in the view and the philosophy of a poet reflects nature. Nature in God and God in nature. Here this poem is to be regarded an amulet. This poem thematically is to be regarded an amulet, philosophical amulet for soul consciousness and the glory of the soul. Here, when we go through the poem, to sum up the poem, I think you have taken very clear meaning that it's a Petrarchan sonnet. Petrarchan model sonnet, one thing clear, Petrarchan model sonnet runs with certain characteristics, but the outstanding characteristic either this or that type sonnet, okay, iambic pentameter, okay, and 14 lines, okay. You also have learnt what does mean iambic pentameter. Okay, we will clearly and broadly discuss in the topic of the sonnet. Okay, but you have here rhyme scheme, rhyme and rhyme scheme both are differ. Okay, rhyme scheme means an arrangement and application of the rhyme, but the rhyme means how many rhymes poet applies. Okay, and rhyme based on the sound of the word ending of the line. Okay, rhyme based on the sound word ending of the line in a poem. Literary figures you have pointed out, you have noted down. Okay, personification, simile, biblical reference, and mythological reference, personifications, and natural images. You know, for a while when we come, the image of the poet, when he mentions the sea, okay, has been mentioned here, has been applied here, personification, to have this and to draw this image. Okay, has its breast open, and to whom? For the moon. Okay, when the reflection of the moon, okay, when the reflection of the moon goes through the bosom of the sea, how, what a glory scatters, what a glory in nature. Okay, and that is suckled by, suckle, you know, suckle is a word. Okay, breastfeeding, especially the word suckle means breastfeeding to a baby by mother, and how a mother opens a breast for her child. Okay, but while poets are probably advocating for this purpose is to the human being, they try to be the part of nature, and then how nature comforts them. But it's not in the habit of the people, of the contemporary people, and the poet's dissatisfaction. Perhaps a poet is speaking in elegiac tone. Poem's tone is elegiac, an elegiac tone. Probably the subtle irony has been applied, but I, in my own consciousness and own idea, think probably poet applied the idea and the ideology in elegiac tone. The tone of the poem is in subtle irony and elegiac tone, and I think you have the meaning and you have gone through the thematical meaning and structural meaning. If you have any question, then let me have permission to sum up the poem. Have you any question?
No, sir.
Any question?
No, sir.
Okay, have you clear?
Yes, sir.
Clear cut idea
Yes, sir.
about the literary figures?
Yes, sir.
You are able to count how many types? Simile, personification, biblical reference, Greek mythology, natural images. Okay, such words have been, such ideas have been applied. Okay, what type poem is? Sonnet. And what type sonnet? Petrarchan model sonnet. And how many sections are in Petrarchan sonnet? 2 sections. Okay, the very first one, the octave. And how many lines are there in octave? 8 lines. And other one? Sextet. And how many lines are there? 6 lines. Okay, then I think it's enough. And okay, we are going to meet in next poem. Thank you. Have a nice day.